What's up, traders? Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol NKLA for Nikola Corporation. On the left-hand side, we have the daily time frame, and on the right-hand side, the 30-minute intraday time frame. First things first, this chart is extremely cluttered, and I want to just start from scratch. I always show you guys myself clearing, whoa, there we go, the drawing set, just so you know it's okay to start from scratch. It's not like you're destroying all of your old levels. You just want to see the chart with clarity, essentially, and give yourself the ability to make logical decisions, right? So it's not like you're wiping everything away. No, you're just starting from a cleaner base point. So that's kind of where I want to start from the daily roadmap, just pointing out obvious areas of support and resistance. A couple of things I will note about the chart before we get into it. Of course, this support trend line did not hold, aggressive breakdown there, and we are starting to get a little bit of double bottoming activity from in here, but note that the neckline would be technically way up here at 1037. Now, yes, in the after hours, there was some news that was released, and Nikola is slightly higher, so let's zoom in a bit here, forming a nice 30-minute flag actually into the after hours session, but it's not like we've taken out that neckline of the daily double bottom. I just sort of wanted to reiterate that, there's still a lot of work to be done essentially if this chart is going to flip bullish, okay? So whenever we're dealing with gaps, and as of right now, it would seem likely at least that we get some sort of gap up for tomorrow's session. A lot can change between now and 9:30, but we're going to go with it. So we want to know where the overnight high is, right? We also want to know where the anticipated opening print is, and please adjust these levels accordingly as tomorrow rolls around ultimately. And we do want to know where today's high of day was, okay? So with those levels in place, let's turn that back off. Let's actually focus over on the daily. I think it'll be a little bit easier to think about here. So whenever we're dealing with a gap, could be up, down, sideways, not sideways essentially, but either direction is ultimately what I'm getting at here. Scenario number one that we're always watching for is, do we get the gap and trap, right? So what that looks like is opening here, kind of in no man's land, right? Technically, you could say it's kind of a resistant point, prior support, prior resistance. We're not going to read into it that much, but if we were to go higher and we fail to attract new buyers up and over the overnight high, which is so close to the neckline of the double bottom that I would just start to count this as a zone up here. It's only 10 cents, right? If we fail to find new buyers for something that looks like this and roll back over off of that as resistance, then I would look for shorts back down underneath the opening print to close the gap to today's high at 950. Now that's about a 50-cent trade here inside of a sub 10 at that point dollar stock, which might be worth your time, right? If we come on over to the trade tab, what you'll notice is it's hard to borrow, so you're not actually going to short the shares. However, this is actually extremely weird. I would have thought that there would have been much more volume here on the put side of the option contracts. I suppose I was dead wrong. Let's just go out a week, right? Because that actually does strike me as fairly odd. Yeah, I guess no one wants to trade Nikola anymore. It used to be, heavy options activity, but not so much anymore, okay? So I really wouldn't advise shorting it unless there does appear to be a decent amount of options volume going through on tomorrow's session. And what that would look like, just as an FYI, would probably mean 5,000 plus contracts on the at-the-money strike here, with a much tighter bid-ask spread. 9 cents on a $69 contract, not the most attractive thing inside of Nikola. So just keep that in mind. Look for the volume to come in if the move is going to be lower and if you want to trade it to the downside in the first place. Or you could just quite simply avoid going long if you see that scenario start to unfold, right? Something like this, you're just going to say, oh, it's breaking back down underneath the open. I don't want to touch it to the long side until it at least fills the gap to 950. So that's scenario number one. That's what I do want you to be thinking about, especially because we're in an aggressive daily downtrend and kind of just going sideways over the past little while here. Scenario number two, which I don't think is as likely but could pan out because we do have a gap, is if people are going to pick this up as a momentum style trade because it's gapping, because of course it's the last day before the Christmas holiday where people want to see something insane happen. They all just are feeling giddy about getting in on Nikola. Not saying that's likely, but if that's the case and we do something like this, put in bull flag consolidation on like a 30-minute or a 5-minute or even like a 15-minute chart, and then take out that overnight high and it also subsequently the neckline, right? Then maybe this double bottom pans out and we get more follow through into about $11.51. But here's the caveat: in every single momentum style trade that we're ever going to look at in the history of your entire trading career and going forward into your trading future, it needs to be supported by volume down below. If volume is not, I would say at least, at minimum, 3 million shares per 30-minute bar and sustain that way on the breakout going higher, I would not want to be involved to the long side whatsoever here inside inside of Nikola. Note that the share price is relatively cheap, right? We're only talking about a $10 stock here as that starts breaking out. Call it $10.50. I mean, 3 million shares is really nothing inside of Nikola. Think about Apple trading multiple millions of shares per day, like hundreds of millions of shares per day, and it's priced around what, 170-ish as of right now. So, I mean, not a big deal for Nikola to be doing 3 million, and it would be a requirement of mine if we're going to see some sort of massive move to the upside here into the remainder of the shortened holiday week. So that's going to wrap up the video. If you enjoyed it or learned anything new today, let me know in the comments section or by giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description. And all of that being said, I wish you a green trading week.